Well, thanks to you both. Good evening and welcome to the program. First tonight, political assassinations, jobs for the boys, lucrative contracts and backroom deals. Has our state been hijacked by a group of faceless power brokers we haven't even elected? Well, we've just seen Premier Mike Rann put to the sword without a vote being cast. So who are these people and how did they get to be so influential? Well, here's Graham Archer with an insight into what's become of our democracy.
This is one of the most important stories we will tell because it's about who controls our lives. And these are people who'd prefer you didn't know too much about how they acquire power, how they exert their influence, or even what they truly stand for. It's about how many of our MPs are chosen and how they can be manipulated. About how premiers can be cut down and how you can do almost nothing about it. Sure, it's about politics, but spare us a few minutes and then at least you'll know exactly what's going on.
It does. It's exactly what it is. It is government behind closed doors.
That's dangerous for democracy, isn't it?
It is. It is dangerous for democracy.
Premier Mike Rann's political assassination may well be traced back to the dusty knoll on Panther Park that November day when the public were asked to pick between a woman with little to gain and a politician with everything to lose.
Premier, can you confirm once and for all?
I've just told you that I have rejected those allegations of having sex with her.
But have you ever had any kind of sexual relationship?
I have not had sex with her.
Voters were left to draw their own conclusions. But the real scandal in the Premier's recent rogering is not what was alleged to have gone on behind closed doors in his office, but what's been going on in the offices of those who really control our state.
It's Groundhog Day from where I sit. I mean, I've seen what happened in New South Wales.
Simon Benson is Chief National Political Reporter for the Daily Telegraph and the author of Betrayal, a brilliant blockbuster on the underbelly of ALP factional treachery in New South Wales.
How much power do they influence? Absolute power. They've got the power to change leaders at a whim.
And tonight we'll show you how democracy has been hijacked here, reduced to little more than a political Ponzi scheme, largely orchestrated by the religious right-wingers of the Shop Distributive Association, the SDA, or the Shoppies.
It's a not-for-profit organisation totally focused on your pay and conditions.
But that's nowhere near the whole story. In fact, it's more like a giant pyramid scheme for those who wish to profit from politics.
It's a good analogy, actually. But I think, look, the purpose of factions has changed, I think, over the years, and this is the real problem.
At the top of the pile is the Don, the Shoppies' former union boss Don Farrell, whose winnings include a plum federal Senate seat. He was instrumental in Kevin Rudd's demise and still pulls the strings here.
Don's not someone that likes to court the public spotlight. He does have a nickname down in Canberra. It's called the Godfather. Make of that what you will, but he's certainly a very, very influential factional player, and I think people may remember his name from the events of last July.
Beneath the pinnacle is an empire of underlings focusing on Labor electoral success and then reaping the rewards. You'll recognise quite a number of these faces, and many are joined by their wives, brothers, offspring, relatives and mates queuing up for the favours.
Oh, they do make or break careers. They become the conveyor belt, for political success for the players.
The choicest prize, of course, is a guaranteed spot on the shiny leather benches. Better still, a ministry. One long-serving recipient describing it as the best club in town, as long as you don't screw it up.
That's the sad part about it, because too many people, too many MPs look over their shoulder and say, if I say this or do that, I will offend, in this case, the Shop Assistants Union or the Kingmaker, and I might lose my position, either on the executive of the party or as an MP or in the cabinet. So I shut up.
Former ALP Deputy Leader Ralph Clark understands what it's like to be shafted by political power brokers. Like Simon Benson, he's not against factions. It's the power delivered to the few at the top that's the problem.
Are they becoming more brazen, do you think?
Yes, power creates that. When you have any one group or faction within the party that has significant influence, significant power in their own right, where they don't have to, if you like, consult with too many other people to get a consensus, that can lead to arrogance on a grand scale.
So don't think you choose who to vote for. They do. In fact, your vote hardly matters in the safe seats they secure for themselves. Of course, many of these candidates may never have made the grade if not for the patronage of the puppet masters above them. And they're just grateful to be there.
You're absolutely right that the quality of candidates and the quality of members is a real problem for the Labor Party, and I think it's playing out not just in South Australia, it's playing out federally and in every other state as well.
Occasionally, the Shoppies let an outsider rent space in their pyramid of power. Mike Rann, for instance, was essential for electoral success until they decided he wasn't.
If someone sneaking round a corner, could that someone be Mac the Knife?
17 years as leader had him forget he wasn't really calling the tune. Hence his shock when two Shoppies, young Jack the Knife Snelling and Peter Malinauskas, Don Farrell's anointed union replacement, came knocking to tell him they'd found a more suitable tenant in their pyramid of power.
There's nothing wrong with the challenge, and I just think that Jay Weatherall should have been the person who walked into Mike's office and said, game on, there's a challenge.
But no, it was the Shoppies who wanted to flex their muscles. Signing up to the Shoppies is the surest way to get on. Russell Wortley deserted his left-wing principles and finally got a gig when Shoppies flunky Bernard Finnegan mysteriously resigned his portfolios. And now Chloe Fox, as yet unable to get a ministry, has affiliated with the Shoppies.
That is the real problem. It's the quality of candidates is a real problem. And that's not to say that there aren't very good members of parliament who've come through the union movement, but the problem is that the way the system works now, with the factions and with the influence that the unions exert over the factions and the party, is that the pool of people that you're getting into the parliament is very limited, and of course those that do get in are basically beholden to their benefactors in the unions and in the factions.
The problem we've got now in political parties, and I can only speak with some knowledge about the Labor Party, but I believe probably applies in the Liberal Party as well, is that you're getting a series of yes men and women who are elected to the Parliament.
The Shoppies' other contribution is in political donations to SA Labor, almost $1 million in the past 9 years. As investments go, it's a great little earner. For example, in 2007, they got $450,000 back as a grant to promote workplace safety. $40,000 of this was spent making this video.
The Australians, they just worked out how to look after each other.
Good message, but it's also a thinly disguised recruiting tool for the union, paid for by the government. Their influence comes from pure size and some sleight of hand. Each member of the 20,000-odd strong union is automatically affiliated to the Labor Party, whether they know it or not. Those numbers deliver huge political power to the union secretary.
Effectively, I would doubt whether many members of the Shop Assistants Union know that A, their union's affiliated to the ALP, and B, that they themselves are being counted as members of the ALP for the purposes of the affiliation numbers that the union uses.
Nor would many members have a clue what values those they are unwittingly handing power to actually hold. The Shoppies' leadership, for example, is anti-abortion, anti-euthanasia, anti-gay marriage.
It's the stop it or you'll go blind approach to social values, isn't it?
That's not a bad description, actually.
According to Ralph Clark, the solution is simple: transparency. Union members should have a choice about how they are used.
There's no requirement in those rules, for example, when somebody joins the union, the Shop Assistants Union, that they tick a box to say, yes, I agree to join the union and I also agree to be included for the purposes of ALP affiliation.
Of course, those at the top would prefer none of this is discussed.
Would you say it was in the interests of the union secretaries, the factional leaders, the union leaders, I guess, to keep this reasonably under wraps?
Oh yes, absolutely, because you don't want to upset the horses, so to speak.
So there you have it. And as for our new Premier in waiting, they can make him and they can break him.
Factions in themselves aren't malevolent forces. It's the people that run them and the purpose that they use them for.
This is dangerous for democracy, isn't it?
It is. It is dangerous for democracy. And we've saw the problem with that attitude in New South Wales. The New South Wales Labor Party, when it went to the election in 2011, was morally bankrupt.